The Engero Tales, Tales of the Soul. The Legend of Kintu Nambi, Part 2. After facing impossible trials in the sky realm, Kintu proved himself worthy, not just as a man, but as a future father of nations. Ggulu, the god of the heavens, blessed his union with Nambi. With Ggulu's blessing, they began their descent from the sky to the waiting world below. They carried with them the seeds of life, chickens to roam the earth, banana suckers to feed generations, the sacred drum to call the spirits, and the very first tools to shape their new home. Together, they planted gardens, built shelter, and became the first family to walk and thrive on earth. But as they began settling into their new life, Nambi suddenly realized something important: she had forgotten millet for the chickens. "I'll run back quickly," she said with a hopeful smile. "It will only take a moment." Kintu's heart tightened with worry. He hesitated, remembering Ggulu's grave warning. Remember what Ggulu said. "Walumbe must not follow us." But Nambi was confident, certain the journey would be swift and safe. With a determined nod, she turned to make her way back to the sky, unaware that the fate of the world was about to change forever. Yet, high in the sky realm, Walumbe had been watching. A bitter soul, twisted by envy and untouched by the beauty of joy. His name meant death, for wherever he walked, light faded, and laughter withered into silence. When Nambi returned, Walumbe appeared suddenly, his dark eyes gleaming with a cold resolve. "Where are you going?" he asked. "To live with my husband, Kintu," she replied firmly. "Then I will come too," Walumbe declared, his voice low and menacing. Nambi pleaded with him to stay away, but Walumbe was cunning and unyielding. Quietly, he followed her down to earth, crossing the boundary he was never meant to cross. At first, Walumbe kept to himself. He moved like a shadow among them, quiet, watchful, offering help in the gardens and carrying bundles of firewood without complaint. He watched the children laugh and chase each other, his face unreadable, a faint smile never quite reaching his eyes. But beneath that calm surface lay something darker, a hunger not for food, but for what he could never have: warmth, joy, life untouched by sorrow. His silence was not peace. It was waiting. One day, as the sun dipped low and cast long shadows across the fields, Walumbe approached Kintu. His voice was low, almost gentle, but there was a weight in it, like a stone wrapped in silk. "Give me one of your children," he said, "to help me with my work." Kintu froze. The request struck him like a cold wind to the chest. His heart clenched as he looked toward the homestead. Where his children played, their laughter weaving through the air like song. "They are too young," Kintu said firmly, his voice tight with emotion. "They belong to the earth and to their mother's love. Take food. Take tools. Take anything else, but not a child." Walumbe's eyes narrowed, and for a moment, the light around him seemed to dim. He said nothing. But something in the air had shifted. That night, the world held its breath. Even the stars seemed to dim, as if unwilling to witness what was to come. The winds grew still. The trees did not rustle. The fire at Kintu's hearth burned low, uneasy. Walumbe's eyes had darkened, not with anger alone, but with something older, colder, and far more final. He said nothing. He did not shout or strike. He simply disappeared into the quiet. And as the moon rose, pale and watchful in the sky, the first child fell ill. A soft cough, a sudden fever, a silence where laughter once lived. By dawn, the child was gone. Then another. And another after that. No herb could heal. No prayer could call them back. Where once there was light and song, there was only stillness. Death had entered the world, not with a roar, but with a whisper. Silent. Relentless. Unseen yet everywhere. And from that night forward, the fate of humankind was forever changed. Nambi wept with a sorrow that cracked through her bones, and Kintu mourned in silence, his hands still, his eyes hollow. The earth, once blooming with promise, now wore a cloak of grief. Life had come, but so had death. Determined to break the curse, Kintu climbed back to the skies, each step heavier than the last. When he reached the heavens, Ggulu summoned Kayikuzi, another of his sons, forged of law and fierce light. His name meant, the one who descends with force. Kayikuzi appeared, tall as the storm, armed with a spear that burned like the heart of the sun. He descended swiftly, the sky roaring behind him. At the mouth of Walumbe's cave, near the sacred ground of Tanda, he thundered, "Walumbe! Come out and return with me." But Walumbe only laughed, low and echoing, before vanishing into the dark, carving winding paths beneath the earth. Paths that would become tombs, crypts, and places where joy fades. It is said those paths still scar the land of Tanda in Mityana district, where the ground breathes with ancient sorrow. Without pause, Kayikuzi gave chase. He dug through hills and valleys, pursued through forests, across lakes, through stone and shadow. And each time he neared, the villagers cheered, banging drums, shouting their hope to the sky. But their noise betrayed him. What was meant as hope became alarm. Their joy became warning. And Walumbe, ever watchful, slipped deeper into the blackened soil, beyond reach, beyond light. Again and again, Kayikuzi returned, his footsteps shaking the earth, his voice echoing through valleys and roots. He called to the people. "Be silent. Still your drums. Still your cries. Only in stillness can I catch him." But the people, frightened by death and desperate for life, could not hold their tongues. And so, Walumbe fled again, deeper, darker, until even the earth seemed to close behind him. But fear and grief made the people louder. Their cries rose like smoke, thick with sorrow, heavy with longing. And the louder they wept, the deeper Walumbe slipped into the earth, carving tunnels where no light could follow. At last, Kayikuzi stood beneath the great sky tree, weary from the chase but unbroken in spirit. The winds circled him. The ground held its breath. And in a voice steady as stone, he said, "I will not chase him forever. But one day, when the world is ready, when the people are still, I shall return. And then, I shall catch death." And with that, he vanished, into the light, into legend. Some say he did not leave entirely. That he lingers still, in the hush before dawn, in the pause between thunder and rain, in the silence after a final breath, watching, waiting. Some say he still watches, in the wind that touches your cheek, in the stars that blink when you weep, in the space between breaths where silence rests. He waits. And so we live. And so, Kintu and Nambi remained on the earth. Side by side, they shaped a life rooted in hope. They taught their children how to tend the soil with care, to plant and harvest the gifts of the land, to build homes that sheltered not just bodies, but dreams. They taught them to sing songs that echoed the heartbeat of the earth, songs that remembered. And in the quiet between songs, they told stories, whispers of ancient wisdom, sown deep into the soil, carried gently on the wind, and held in the promise of every seed. Though Walumbe still walks among us. In every funeral's shadow, in every tear shed for those lost, we live. We live because they lived. Because one woman chose love over eternity, and one man faced the gods with unwavering faith and kindness. Because even in sorrow, life found a rhythm, a steady drumbeat that carries us forward. From that love, of earth and spirit, of pain and perseverance, the people of the earth arose. Their roots deep and unbreakable, reaching toward the sun, their branches stretching wide. And so the world became what it is, not perfect, but possible. The story lives on, in every heartbeat, every whispered song, every seed sown in hope. From the trials of Kintu to the strength of Nambi, these ancient stories remind us that even in darkness, life is possible. If you've enjoyed this journey into the heart of our legends, join us at Engero Tales. Subscribe and step into a world where every story carries the spirit of our shared heritage, timeless, powerful, and waiting to be told.